What we're going to try to do today is recreate this design by Paolo. You can find it on his YouTube channel, all right? And there's the address up there. He creates this statically using Grasshopper Gold, a free plugin. You can find it on the Food for Rhino. Let's break this down. There's a center gemstone with 4 claws. There's a circle that follows the curve of the gemstone, a loop. And then there's 4 gemstones and a split shank. We're going to try to make this parametric so you can change the center stone and everything will fall in place. So we'll break it down into 1, the gemstone, 2, the circle, 3, the outer gemstones, and 4, the shank. So you can see how he's done it. You can see he's using Grasshopper Gold, and he starts with the gemstone. Does a nice job of this, but we're going to try to recreate this very similarly. We're not going to follow his exact steps, but we're going to make it so we can have it similar but parametric, so we can easily change the gemstones. So let's start with the first part, the center stone and the 4 claws. Okay. We're going to use the 336 claw with the seat. Okay. What we're going to do is we can turn off the crosshairs, but let's look at the top view. Let's use a oval because he has an oval. Let's go 6 by 8 millimeters. Let's set up the claws the way he has them, and we need to do that this way. Okay, we have the claws set. Let's change the diameter to 1.1 millimeters. And we have a seat. And let's change the depth. We got to change the depth to, let's go 60%, 65%. So we go math, multiply, we go 65, so we go set the data, 0.65, commit, and we'll use this result 3.9 for the Z dimensions. Okay, so we see that we can move it up a little here. So we'll have it sitting about there. We need the seat. Lower. About there. And we need the claw positions a little bit higher. And let's go let's go okay, and let's adjust the top. What I'm doing is creating both of them in the right direction here, and we're going to go up a little further, and we're going to extend the bottom slightly. Actually, we're going to extend it more because we're going to cut it with the okay. Okay, so if we extend it more, okay. We're using the cutter to make the seat here. And that cutter also has the hole in it. Okay, so we might want to use the cutter depth a little here, and this will allow us to bring this down here. Okay, so there we have the first part of the definition. Now we can change this to any shape. And we can increase the number of claws. So the next step is to move this to a ring top. So let's use orient to ring top. Okay, so to do that we need to, let's get rid of this group. We need to group the objects or the B-reps. So we have the pipe, and we have a gemstone here. Let's move this gemstone here. Now we can get rid of this, and we can get rid of, actually, we'll just turn that off. Now we're going to bring this over here, move the geometry into here, and we now have it placed on the top of the gemstone. Now we have the ring circle. Let's rotate it 90 degrees. Okay, now we have the gem and the seat in the right direction, rotated 90 degrees. Let's also move this curve, this girdle curve, the offset girdle curve. We're going to move that up there as well. So we're going to put this in this group. So we should have the offset girdle curve up here now. Let's hide this. Let's add this to this group. And let's now use the display. We're going to use the sort. And we're going to now ungroup. Put this in with this group. Now we also have flatten that. We got a closed poly curve. Curve, there it is there. So the curve, we can bring that out here because we're going to use that curve. Let's use this. Let's put all the curves. into this, and we'll rename it offset girdle curve. Okay, now we're going to scale this, and we're going to use scale UV. I'm going to take this geometry and scale it in this position. You can see it here. And we're going to go 2.1. What we're doing is getting ready for the next part, is to use this curve to put the gemstones on. And let's see if it's working correctly. So let's add this to this group. Okay, it's working correctly in the right position. Let's go oval. So we're going to get ready for the next step. Okay, so let's group these. We like to keep everything together in groups so we know what we're doing. And I'm going to group this. And we're going to label it. Click on this, add to group. We're going to label this. And we're going to label it, double click, round reference curve for lack of a term, offset curve. Okay, so we have that ready to go because we're going to use that in the next step. So we have the gemstone in the center. We're going to make this seat here next and space it out, and we're going to get that going parametrically, and then we're going to put the gemstones and then the split shank. So let's see what we got in Algojewels. I do have a component for under gallery to a ring curve. That creates this under gallery here. So let's get rid of the crosshairs. We have a ring size we're going to use. Now we're going to, if we're going to use this ring size, we need to plug this ring circle into here, and that will allow it to move up and down. We're going to keep the universal profile maker. We're going to use the ring circle. We don't need this in this particular case, so we're going to move that up. Sweep one set up. Columns, we don't want the columns either, so we're going to get rid of these. And we don't need the blue geometry, which is the top portion, and we could turn that off but leave it going. We'll get in there. We have the seat. Now we want to make that seat parametric based on the, and we can turn the top loft off too. And we want to make that seat based on the geometry of the girdle curve. So we're going to use the, okay, here we're using this here, profile. What we're going to use is the profile curve at the base, the offset girdle curve. Offset girdle curve. if we're going to put that in here, then we're going to rotate it at the same degree that we have here. Actually, we're going to leave it so we can rotate it separately. But we don't need to have in this group anymore. We don't need to have this either. And we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. And there we have the seat. And we can actually, here's what we need to do. Let's go Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, because we need this scalable. Scalable. So let's go like this, group this, bring this group down to here. We're not using the universal profile maker. We delete that. We're going to use the gemstone curve, and we're going to bring in the offset girdle curve. Actually, we don't need the offset girdle curve. We can use the gem girdle curve, because if we offset the girdle curve, it'll change it. And we're going to use this here, in here, and then we're going to put this in here, and we can adjust the scale of it, and we can rotate it now 90 degrees. Okay, so that being done, what are we using here? We're using the loft component. We can use the sweep one, and we can, by using the sweep one, we're using the bottom portion. We can adjust the width. We can change the shape of it, and we can now adjust. Let's edit this. Actually, here. Okay, so now we have that curve, and it changes with the shape of the ring. And we can now see if it's parametric based on the gemstone, and it is. With an emerald cut, we'd have to, there we go. It's based on the, oh, wrong one again. I want the bottom one. Okay, so if that's working correctly, perfect. Next step. So the final step is to make a split shank to join this ring. So we got the center stone, the wire surround, and the small stones. So we're going to go to the shanks position here, and we're going to use split shank 2. Bring it in to position here. Okay, we need the ring circle, because let's use the ring circle that we're using here. This ring circle, it's a size 7. So we're going to put it in here. This way we can take this and delete this. We don't need this anymore. Delete that. First thing we're going to do is bring them down. Let's go back and make this oval first. 8 by oval. And then we're going to go back here to the ring, and what we want to do is adjust this point down. Let's change the thickness. And change the position again. And just change the bend of the curve. Let's move the Z direction is fine. Let's rotate the profile curve. Okay, let's move the bend down and adjust the bend. Now, because we can play with this, now we have the split shank, we can adjust it a bit in here to bring this closer in here and make adjustments. So you're pretty parametric right now, and everything's adjustable. We'll save this. Now let's play. So we can go from a half round to a round. Let's go to a square. We can turn on the ring circle. There it is there. Move this in position here. Okay. There we have it. Now it's fully parametric. So if that's the case, then we should be able to change the finger size. Okay, so we changed the finger size and the small rail disappeared, and we're in the sweep. We're using the bottom. There it is there. We can raise this up and adjust this because this is basically parametric based on finger size, but the top position isn't. We can make this a position here where the green dot is a line on this, a point on this curve, and then it will be always going with the position of the ring size. So that's a doable too, because we are using the blend between two curves. We are using the point, and what we can do is adjust that point and make that a point on this curve. So let's see what we can do. It's the seat, and it's the in here, and it's this rail here. Oh, it's this rail here, which is, pick a curve. It should be this rail here. There it is there. So in this particular case, we can take a point on that curve. Evaluate curve. We have point on the curve. We can put this in here. Now there's the point there. And we can now move this down to here. And it should be right about there. Okay. If that's the case, it will always be on that curve. Now we can move it around a little. And it will always touch. So what we can do is cap the end of this. But now, if you change the finger size here, you'll see it goes with the curve. And now you can change the gemstone shape and the is easily adjustable. There you have it, a fully parametric split shank design. Thank you for watching.